Hello and welcome to Bring IT Home. We're intending this to be a series of helpful videos to show you how to make use of various technologies at home and to make you more comfortable exploring the tech world around you. I'm Darren, and along with Cameron, we'll be taking you through wireless social engineering attack tool called Linset. So to get started, Cameron, why don't you tell us more about it?
So I found a tool called Linset, and it's actually a combination of many other tools. But the end goal is to basically have the hapless victim give you their Wi-Fi password. But in doing so, you have to grab some information from their access point, and you also have to set up a fake access point on your computer. But this tool and this script basically does all that for you.
Well, with that in mind, how about we break it down and get to how do we get started with this? What are the components that we need? And move from there. So what does this Linset run on?
So it is a Linux-based attack. I've tried it on a couple of different distributions. You can download the Linset package itself and then all of the other prerequisites.
So that's available separate from packaged with an OS?
Correct. However, there are certain distributions that are available now that do have the Linset package and all of its prerequisite packages already built into it. And so that's actually what we'll be using today. I'm using a program called WiFiSLax. It's a Slackware distribution, and it actually has Linset as well as all the prerequisites built into it. And for what I have found recently, it seems to work most efficiently.
Okay. So we have here on the screen the WiFiSLax distribution, and let's see, we have a couple of options. We can...
Now, I want you to understand.
This is not in English.
Yes.
What are we doing here?
So you've actually pointed out something. It's really great to point out. So it is in Spanish. It is a Spanish Linux distribution, and there is an option, as you saw, that I selected to go to English. So you want to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to go ahead and use the Linux with a desktop for an option. And this is a live distribution, so you're not really going to install this version of Linux. You'll be kind of configuring it each time you want to use it, and that's kind of a very hacksaw thing because you don't want to leave any traces out, of course. So you'll see it come up here. We're just kind of loading up the operating system.
And what do you have this virtual machine running on?
So I've got a VMware hypervisor that I use as a test box, and right now we're looking through the console of the VMware hypervisor.
Yeah, we're connecting to it through the vSphere client, and it's running on an ESX server at home, which we may cover as a topic in a future episode.
Yep.
Because that really seems to mystify some people because it's Linux-based and not very user-friendly. It doesn't have the graphical OS, and it doesn't have the background of familiarity that a lot of Windows users have out there.
It doesn't, but I think once you get past that and you get used to the console, you'll find it's very intuitive. And on top of that, it's far more powerful than any of the VirtualBox solutions that you're going to find. And it is free. So my virtual machine only has a resolution of 800 by 600, so I have to change the resolution to a larger one so we can see it and the script will run correctly. So I've gone ahead and done that. And we're now at the desktop. I'm going to be going ahead and opening up Linset. So you'll navigate to the Start menu, KDE icon actually, and then you'll go to the WiFiSLax portion, and from there you'll go to the WPA tools, and then from there you'll choose Linset. So Linset's opening. You'll see over there it's checking all the prerequisites. It's opening up. It's actually going to go check with the main server to see if there's any updates. So it looks like we're up to date, ready to go. Here we're going to choose our Wi-Fi adapter. So if you have multiple Wi-Fi adapters, you'll want to choose the appropriate one. The Raylink RT2870/3070 seems to work the best. And it's one of the more supported ones. Not all Wi-Fi adapters are actually supported, so I can post a link in the description of this video with all of that information so that you can go and check the wiki to see if your Wi-Fi adapter is actually supported.
And this was kind of new to me. It's an external wireless adapter connected to your computer with USB.
Correct. So this is
You don't see many of those.
Not as much, but as far as war driving, which is a term used when you're going out and trying to look for Wi-Fi networks, a lot of people historically have used USB adapters just so you can multiply the amount of adapters you may have on or available to your machine.
Okay.
And then, of course, the initial intent was just to augment a machine that didn't have that USB or
so you can physically locate your antenna somewhere more visible.
That's correct.
Outside of the blockages.
That's correct. And this particular unit that I'm using has a very high gain antenna, so I can get a huge swath of space that I can see.
Okay.
And then affect. So we're going to go ahead and choose that first adapter, and it'll then go and it'll take a moment. What it's doing is it's basically securing that Wi-Fi adapter away from any of the operating system processes so that you can go ahead and use it for the attack. The next screen, of course, it is in Spanish, so bear with us. It is asking us, do you want to scan all the channels for option 1, or would you like specific channels for option 2? We want all channels because we want to actually see all the networks that are available to us to actually hack, or for them to unwittingly, give us their password. So once we've gone ahead and said we want all channels, you're going to see a new screen come up, and this is actually showing you all of the Wi-Fi networks that are available to you around you, and you'll notice the information that's displayed on there. If you look to the right of the screen,
just go column by column.
Yeah, so you're going to have
there it goes.
Your SSID, so that's going to be the wireless network that's being displayed, or broadcasted. Your authorization type, so mostly you're going to see PSK type, unless you're in an enterprise environment, you may see like AES.
Which are just 2 types of encryption.
Correct.
Format.
Correct. Not important for what we're doing today. It's too much information, but it is kind of interesting that it is showing us that. Under ENC, that's the encryption type, or what's being used to encrypt the network. So you see WPA2 is the predominant type of encryption type, which is good because WPA is very easy to crack now through brute force. It shows you the connection speed. It's also showing the channel, which will be important to a certain extent. Later on, especially when you start getting into other forms of Wi-Fi hacking. And then the BSSID is the base station MAC address, actually. And then there's also the power, which is the signal strength to your receiver that you're receiving it. So once you have seen the network in which you're trying to compromise displayed on the screen, you're actually going to hit ctrl+c, and that kills that screen, and then it imports all of those entries into the script itself. And once you're back into the script, as you'll see in the screen, it will display all the networks, and again with all the information we just previously talked about, and then with a numerical value next to it, so you can select which network that you'd like to go after.
So like an index number.
Yep.
Of networks. So you're selecting 14 here.
Actually, 34. We're going after Hack Me Plenty today. So that is the network that I've set up to hack for today's demonstration purposes. And so we're going to enter 34. And from there, it is going to initiate another series of processes. And it'll take a second. So here it's asking us what suite of attacks do we want to use in order to attack the access point. So the first part of what we're trying to do is we've identified the access point that we want to attack, and that we're going to grab a WPA handshake from that particular base station, and then also a client that it's communicating with. And in order to do that, we're going to knock off a client and then look at that handshake. And so right here, this is selecting which suite that we're going to use to then go ahead and then create that attack.
And so everyone else is aware that we are actually hacking our own Apple Airport.
That's correct.
And not a neighbor.
That's correct. So again, you should only be doing this for your at home in a testing scenario. You should never use this maliciously. If you do, we can't be held liable, of course. This is something that you're doing on your own.
Yeah, because we
accord.
said so out loud.
Yeah, exactly. So because we said so, if you do this for malicious things, that's on your own accord. We never told you to do this maliciously.
There you go.
So we're going to go ahead and choose the HostAPD, which is recomendado. And I probably butchered the pronunciation on that, so I apologize.
A little bit.
So we choose that, and from there it's asking where you want to store the capture information for your hash. Just go ahead and choose the default by choosing enter. And then from there it's saying which one do you want to use to compromise the handshake. So we're going to use the air crack, which is number 1. And then this is, again, here are actually 3 different types of attacks that you can choose. The one that I have been able to use to great success is the first one, which I believe is a massive deauthorization attack on the access point. That's the translation. So we're going to go ahead and choose that. We choose 1, and we press enter. From there, you're going to see a couple different windows pop up. And you'll see very quickly in the lower right-hand corner.
Yeah, the red one that just disappeared.
Yeah, so that one, what was that doing? So that's actually the deauthorization attack. So that's actually sending the deauth packets from your wireless antenna on your machine to their access point. And it's severing the connection of any of the clients talking to that access point at that time. And the reason that's important is that when you do that, it's giving us the ability to see the recommunication and grab that hash.
Okay.
Okay?
So this next one up in the top right.
So the one on the top right there, as you notice, that's basically saying we're talking with the base station and we're seeing whether or not we have grabbed the hash. So right now I actually didn't grab it on the first try, okay? And sometimes that happens. So you click back onto the main Linset window, and there's a couple different options. You'll see there say C, which is yes, meaning I grabbed the handshake, which we haven't yet. And 2, which is no, but we want to attempt it again. Okay, so we're going to do no. It's going to attack. It's going to use the exact same attack again, and we're going to see if we have better success. So we choose 2, and you'll now see that red window show up in the lower right-hand corner again. And now, if you look back at that window in the upper left-hand corner where we were capturing the handshake, we've now captured the handshake. So we can then navigate back to the Linset window, and we can say yes, that we've captured that handshake.
So this is the client actually handshaking with you.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Now, the client meaning the person on the wireless device
The
trying
PC
to communicate.
or Mac or phone, yes.
Yep. So whatever wireless device that is trying to communicate to the base station that you're trying to compromise. So now it's asking us, what do you want to set up the web interface? And you're like, well, what's that? Well, the old way, or one way of trying to hack your password for wireless networks was brute force, which is you're going to take a large collection of words in a text file and then throw as many, throw as many as possibilities against the hash. Well, that takes forever, and sometimes it doesn't work. What this is going to do is we're actually going to set up a fake access point on our computer. And then we're going to have a web page, which it's now asking us whether or not we want to set up. It's going to set up a web page for us, so we choose 1. And then which language do we want to distribute or display the web page in? So we're in America, so we're going to be using English. And this is going to be the web page that's going to be a landing page that now, when we start the next portion of the attack, the client will be disconnected from their network, and they will not be able to connect to their network.
Because they will be seeing our open network first. It overrides the hidden network.
Well, part of that, but actually within the suite, it's going to do one better. The reason it can't see, it will be able to see the network, but they won't be able to connect it because we're going to continue to send deauthorization packets to that base station.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
Now,
in effect, yeah. So
at this
effectively,
moment.
we're flooding the legitimate base station with noise, okay?
Okay.
Or with deauthorization packets, so that it basically can't do anything with its
Right.
clients. So from a psychological standpoint, the person then won't be able to connect to their network. So then they'll have to go click on their wireless option and then select another network, which they'll then see our network, which we're about to set up, but it's going to have the same name. But the chief difference between the network we're setting up and the network that they were connecting to is ours is open.
Okay.
Okay. So this, if you're savvy, meaning the person whom you're attacking is savvy, they may realize that they're not connecting to the same network. So that is kind of a flaw within this attack. But
Yeah.
I would say for 9 times out of 10, it probably would work for an average person, unfortunately.
Okay.
So
we're selecting the language.
we've selected language. You're now going to see another series of windows open up. You're the first one being AP, and that's your access point. So now it's turning your wireless antenna that you've got in your machine that you're using Linset on into an access point. It's also going to start a DHCP service, and so that's so it can hand a DHCP address out. It also sets up network address translation so that you can NAT through your machine, or the wireless user who's connecting up to your machine can NAT through your machine out to the internet, as well as fake DNS. So all of this is open. You'll also see a window called the Deauth Authentication application running. And that's sending your deauthorization packets to the access point that you're trying to compromise, thus blocking the ability to connect to that. And so we're doing that. And meanwhile, we've got Darren, who...
So I'm on my Mac.
You're on your Mac.
I've seen this fake network and tried to join it again.
And he's having a bear of a time. So he's gone up to his Wi-Fi selection, and he now sees the other network, Hack Me Plenty.
So I'm opening up a browser here. And if you saw in the previous window the captive.apple.com entries in the DNS command prompt, bottom left, this is the request that was triggering that. So I'm getting, looks like a mobile formatted login page. It's asking for that. Not now.
And he just provided the wireless network password to me.
Right.
And what's interesting is that, so this is preceded. So if he didn't enter in the correct password, it would actually say he didn't enter in the correct password. And it wouldn't allow him to proceed. And it wouldn't allow him to browse the internet either.
Right.
But what actually happens, as soon as he successfully enters in the correct password, that fake access point that we set up disappears because those services all stop. And then the deauthorization packets also cease to be sent, and that he can then connect back up to his legitimate network.
As you can see, Cameron just talked us through it. So one other thing too, up in the URL bar of Safari, if you saw when I clicked on the address bar, you should pause your video here. If you saw when I clicked up on the address bar, it was apple.com/final.html. Now this Linset tool is doing a redirect to send us over to final.anything/final.html. So that's an interesting quirk of the product. So there's ample opportunities. I mean, if you're looking at social engineering as a problem, we can kind of point you through all of these various little triggers or clues that something's not right.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
All right, well, I think that's our lesson for today. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you think of this and what topics you'd like to see discussed in the future.
Absolutely. And
Until next time, let's bring it home.
Bring that IT home.